Every technique had its protocol. Where our profession has moved toward is so much of the analytical side has been homogenized, has become lost, and the focus has been on the force application. That rather than naming techniques is, oh, I'm learning Gonstead technique, I'm learning Thompson technique, okay, which is an analysis and a force application. It's become we're teaching the force application. I'm doing diversified. I'm doing drop table. I'm doing spring-loaded instrument. I'm doing cervical chair, doing side posture. In other words, the focus has been on the force application, and we're losing the analytical side, and that really is the magical component of what we do.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Beyond Adjustments. Today is part one of a two-part conversation with Dr. Peter Kevorkian, now president of Life West. Last time he was on the show, he was stepping into, or had stepped into actually, his VP role. Now he's carrying the responsibility of an entire institution. And in this episode, we don't just talk about titles, we talk about what changes when a chiropractor steps into real leadership. We talk about the tension between business and philosophy. We also talk about whether the profession is losing its center or not. And in fact, we answer a big question. What does chiropractic actually need more of right now? Is it better communication? Is it better certainty? Is it better leadership? Or is it better results? Is it a combination? Well, part one sets the foundation. Let's get into it. Dr. Peter, welcome back to Beyond Adjustments. The last time you were here, you were stepping into the VP role, or had stepped into the VP role at Life West. And now, president, which, by the way, still feels like a wild thing for me to say out loud, but because it's been such a short time. But yeah, man, congratulations.
I think congratulations are in order. I'm kidding. I'm honored to be able to be in this position to serve the college, the students, the profession in this capacity. Will do my very best to keep the light of chiropractic alive.
So let's start there, right? So not like really in a polished way, but in a real way. Like last time you were on, you were VP, now you're president. What's been the biggest real shift in kind of responsibility that people on the outside probably don't see?
Oh, it was great to be vice president. I was vice president of institutional advancement, which is fundraising, alumni relations, events, things of that sort. So it was actually a perfect connection into the college. It allowed me to be on campus and be in the outward facing area of the college. So meeting supporters and alumni and stakeholders of the college. So it was a great role to be in, to really learn the Life West family, and at the same time meet the administration, faculty, students here. So it was actually the perfect position to be in, to then come into this role. I mean, I love being in the vice president role. It was a huge shift from being in practice. I love practice, and I'm a chiropractor. I'm not I don't consider myself a fundraiser. I don't consider myself an administrator. I don't consider myself. Obviously, I am president of the college, but there are many skill sets that are necessary to run a chiropractic college, way beyond being a chiropractor. And I feel as though I have the most amazing team to be able to pull that off. But the role transition has been excellent. To be able to go from being VP into a presidential role, but the levels of responsibility are exponential, and the coordination, integration of what it is are exponential.
For sure.
Yeah. Dr. Ron overseeing my predecessor prior to leaving, he said, practice in many ways is easy. You at the end of the day, you turn the lights off, you leave the office, maybe you send an email or two or make a phone call, but you're done with the day. This position, it's 24/7, 365. I literally could go and all there is always something to do, to prepare, to
Yeah.
organize, to coordinate, to learn about. The
Yeah.
learning curve is huge. There are and it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It clearly uses a part of my brain that I've never used this way before, and it really elevates my skill set. And in many ways, I've been perfectly uh, trained or had life experiences to get me ready to be here. And in other ways, it's a super area of creativity and exploration that is very exciting and dynamic. So
For sure. Yeah. So there's always that kind of that unknown piece. And sometimes we don't really appreciate, looking at someone in a role and kind of watching them to say, well, I could have done this and I would have, if I were them, I could, that kind of mindset. But what's something maybe about the resident role that you didn't fully appreciate until you were actually sitting in the chair?
the chiropractic piece of it, I feel as though I'm perfectly suited to be able to um, tweak, architect, and ensure the competency of students being able to graduate practice ready, ready to get into practice, and technically and professionally and business wise. Uh, I have a very very good feel that I have the skill set to help uh, tweak, modify, create that experience here. The pieces of it that are um, very different for me is the aspect of being in corporate America. There's a portion of the institution that is, we're creating chiropractors to go out in the world and serve. That's the part that most chiropractors see. Okay, that it's chiropractor. Yeah, we're going to keep chiropractic alive, 100%. But how to then juggle the aspects that keep you functional as a business, as a corporation,
Yeah.
everything from budgets and finances and investments and leases and things of that sort. So there's it's a business side. Now, simplicity of business is the same. The goal of business is that you make more money than you spend. That's what keeps you viable. But everything else gets locked on underneath that.
Mhm.
But the aspects of corporate America that I was in a mom and pop practice. I did that was my orientation. So
Yeah.
being having to deal with the issues of HR and compliance and things of that, that's fortunately I have amazing people to help support that process. But
Yeah.
that's a continuous learning curve for me.
Yeah.
The aspects of higher ed. There is a whole hierarchy and ritual, I suppose, that lives in the world of higher education, even though I've had some experience with it being on the board of a chiropractic college and teaching in postgraduate education. It's very, very different when you're actually in an academic institution and
Yeah.
understanding how the processes of accreditation and compliance with regulators really, really lives.
Yeah.
Uh, so those pieces, and unfortunately, I have amazing staff that support and oversee that aspect of it. But so that's that's a whole other dimension to things, and a lot of energy units and time is taken to ensure that because that's the stability of being able to deliver the chiropractic program.
Yeah.
Uh, my time in practice, I felt as though the practice that I had created with Dr. Patty, my wife, um, was grounded in the fundamental congruence of delivering chiropractic care, pure chiropractic, the analysis and adjustment of subluxation to fully express the human potential. And our expression of that in a loving service mode is how I practice. And I felt as though my professional responsibility in my circles in Massachusetts as I practice was to be a place that practitioners could see how we could do that and still articulate and live in a world that has requirements and compliance and regulations and stuff like that while still being grounded in our vitalistic ideology
Yeah.
and truth and not compromise and be able to do that. And I felt as though what I did and how I made decisions continually reminded people what we're really here for is to serve humanity. And I found a way to do that that didn't compromise. And I feel as though so many practitioners feel as though they need to compromise something in order to deliver this service, and they lose sight of what chiropractic really is about, and they wind up treating headaches and back pain and becoming an alternative to medicine rather than helping people optimize the human potential by
For
taking
sure.
of interference.
All right, quick pause here. If you're listening closely, you'll notice something about this conversation. This isn't about technique wars. It's not about politics. It's not about noise. It's about clarity. Clarity in communication, clarity in leadership, of course, right? Clarity in why we do what we do. And speaking of clarity, I hate to do this to you guys, but we got to keep the lights on. So this episode of Beyond Adjustments is brought to you by AILocalBoost.com. If you're delivering great care, but your online presence doesn't reflect that, AI Local Boost helps local businesses automate their Google visibility with posts, reviews, images, so your excellence is actually seen. Because clarity in practice should match clarity in presence. Check out AILocalBoost.com. All right, I'm done. Let's get back into part one.
So over 20 years, I had over 200 people that walk through my door once a week or more to get their spine checked. That is the statement of what, in my mind, is what chiropractic is about.
Yeah.
And care for everybody,
Right.
because the right thing to do.
Love it.
In this role, I feel as though I am continually being the voice of conscience for everybody, whether they're in the academic side or facilities or whatever it is, whatever how they are. We are here to graduate competent, capable, compassionate chiropractors. And that is, I've clarity. That is our purpose. Yes, we need to be financially viable. Yes, we need to comply with all the accreditation and requirements and whatever it is. But our job is to graduate competent, capable, compassionate chiropractors.
Yeah.
And that resonates in everything that happens here. And I'm not saying that it didn't before, but it's so easy to get distracted. Just like
For
in practice,
sure.
you get distracted with insurance companies and compliance and laws and regulations and money and debt and all that other stuff. And same thing happens in higher ed. So sometimes we get so lost into the world of higher ed, you forget why you're really there.
Yeah.
That you were here to graduate competent, capable, compassionate chiropractor.
How has stepping into the president role kind of sharpened or maybe even tested how you personally see chiropractic itself?
It's only reinforced it.
Mhm.
I feel that there are many things that happen. Uh, there's small things that happen, but you do them often enough, it really changes the world. For instance, um, in all chiropractic colleges, I'm not saying just Life West. I think every chiropractic college, um, even back when I was a student, I would say it had begun there. We've lost the reverence and the majesty of the technical systems that have been developed. A Meiji Desjarnet had a particular window into the physiology and the impact that we can make into the physiology, and through that, developed sacro-occipital technique.
Okay.
Clarence Onstead had a particular window into the spine, the nervous system, and the human experience, and through that, developed Onstead technique and protocol. Clay Thompson had a particular window, uh, Arlen Furr, a particular window built upon Hugh Logan's work of Logan Basic Technique and Thompson. Each technical development had a very clear window in terms of the physiology and made determinants through specific algorithms, technical indicators. The indicators that told you is the spine subluxated, and then developed a force application to be able to adjust that subluxation. Okay? So every technique had its protocol. Where our profession has moved toward is so much of the analytical side has been homogenized, has become lost, and the focus has been on the force application. That rather than naming techniques is, I'm learning Gonstead technique, I'm learning Thompson technique, okay, which is an analysis and a force application. It's become we're teaching the force application. I'm doing diversified. I'm doing drop table. I'm doing spring-loaded instrument. I'm doing cervical chair. Doing side posture. In other words, the focus has been on the force application, and we're losing the analytical side. And that really is the magical component of what we do,
Sure.
because more than just mobilizing the spine, it's more than just removing fixations. Although those can be aspects of an analysis, in and of itself, it is not a determinant that the spine is subluxated or not. Not any single parameter. It's a holographic evaluation of the person, and whether somebody practices in a single technical window or integrates together multiple techniques. It's the analysis that really is the magical part of technique. We've lost that. Okay. In most curriculums, I remember when I was a student, they homogenized many things together to create back then Palmer package. It happens at every school. It's like within the curriculum, things are homogenized in such a point, and very often students aren't grounded in how do I determine, is the spine subluxated? Are they not subluxated? Now, many schools at Life West as well, there are techniques that you can do outside the program. Part of the college, but they are electives within the program. Those systems are taught as the system. But within the program, things get homogenized. And I think it creates a degree of confusion in the mind of the student as they're going through. We all have that. Part of the development of the student. But then the thing that has happened over the last quarter century, as students go into the health center, because we have to comply with the laws of the states and have this idea of patient safety and case management and diagnosis and all of those worlds, that really comes out of allopathic protocols, which we need to have competencies in. We give exams for them. The requirement, every state requires it. It's very easy to lose the reverence of what chiropractic is about,
Sure.
the efforts to comply with, be doing the things you need to do as an allopathic mindset,
Yeah.
which you have requirements in every state to be able to do that. So that creates a lot of schizophrenia in the mind of the student and the new graduate. And then you get out into practice, and many people choose to use insurance. And I'm not making judgment on that whatsoever, but that only reinforces an allopathic model. So we really lose this uniqueness of chiropractic, of what it is, which is the analysis and adjustment of spinal subluxation
Mhm.
to allow the body to better adapt to the world. That's what it is. So
Yeah.
whether a condition goes away or not doesn't mean we succeeded or failed. So it's ensuring the integrity of what I believe and I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
is uniqueness of what chiropractic is. We are
Yeah.
not manual medicine. We are not a limited medical specialty. We are providing a whole other window to the physiology, and a different window in terms of how people can care for themselves.
Mhm.
Now more than ever, the world needs a different way to look at things. It's not just about natural healthcare. It's not just about offering um, allopathic care with less toxic interventions. It's about a whole shift in the paradigm of doing things to create healthier human beings. And just because you've effectively treated conditions doesn't mean you've created healthier human beings.
Yeah.
And that is a shift in mindset.
Yeah.
So I feel aligned to ensuring the competency in being able to analyze and adjust spinal subluxations is a grounding in our philosophical ideology
Yeah.
and understanding of it, being able to communicate that effectively within practice.
Yeah. So in 2026, when someone asks you, what is chiropractic? What's your cleanest, no fluff answer?
Well, I guess it depends on who's asking me. If a chiropractor asks me that question, chiropractic is a specific analysis and adjustment of a spinal subluxation. The public has no idea what that is. Okay, so in the world in the public, if I talk to a non-chiropractor, I would say the goal of a chiropractor is to ensure that a human being has the healthiest spine possible, because a healthy spine is part and parcel of a healthy life.
Love it. And
Simple. Just keep it real.
no, I love it, and that answer matters right now because the profession to me feels noisy, if that makes sense.
Simple.
Uh, so I like
Well, I
that.
remember going through COVID, right? People say, "Oh, you can't say chiropractic affects the immune system." I said, "How's that? How is that even a logical statement to say that? You know, everything affects the immune system. Your thought process affects the immune system. Exercise affects the immune system. How you sleep affects the immune system.
Yeah.
Fine, does it affect the immune system? Of course it does.
Yeah.
You have a spine, you got a healthy immune system.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we have lost logic in terms of how we're making healthcare decisions. Does that mean chiropractic treats COVID? Chiropractic doesn't treat headaches.
Yeah.
Chiropractic care is allowing the nervous system to be with less interference, so it can better
Yeah.
adapt to the world and externally and internally. That's simple
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, yeah. So where do you see chiropractors getting kind of pulled off center today? Like fear, confusion, politics, evidence versus the philosophy, technique. What's actually doing the damage?
I believe that if a chiropractor is grounded in being able to know that, oh, that spine is subluxated. And oh, that person's clear. If a person develops clear confidence and competence in being able to know whether a person is subluxated or not, and an ability to adjust the spine effectively, that's step one. I know that I know that I know that I know. Oh, there's something here that's less than optimal. Oh,
Hmm.
and I can do that, and I did that. Okay, so competency and confidence of being able to analyze and adjust the spine effectively is the basic, most basic skill. Then the next step beyond that is the why, okay? And is being grounded in, are you doing it to treat a condition, or are you doing it to allow life to do what life is designed to do? And that's a paradigm shift in terms of how we look at things. Now,
Sure.
both of them will happen while a student is here. And really, it's not about, oh, we're going to dictate this to you, but it's our job as educators to inspire that within people, to awaken that perspective within them so that they can discover and uncover the best way that they can express this within their life, both technically and as well as philosophically. So it's a growth process. It's not just you're making a machine be able to do it. I'll tell the students all the time is that AI is going to eliminate a lot of jobs. Ain't going to eliminate chiropractors.
Nope.
I said you can't create based upon what we understand today. We got many generations of time before you'll ever be able to create a computer to be able to design something that can effectively analyze and adjust the person with the entire package. You might be able to get them to mechanically impact the body, right? Then the machines now that they can do that, but kind of an adjustment is more than just a mechanical phenomenon. Okay,
I
it,
agree.
it's a powerful dynamic where two human beings have come together,
Yeah.
and allowing the beingness to really allow the fullest expression of life.
Mm.
So many things will enhance our ability to do it utilizing technology, but you're never going to eliminate the
Yeah.
magic of two human beings coming together and elevating the the well-being of the body with an adjustment. So the key goal of a chiropractic student is, yes, confidence, competence in being able to adjust, an understanding of our philosophy, being able to communicate it, and making the decisions looking through that lens of chiropractic vitalism. Okay,
Mm.
that's a particular perspective that we hold. We can look at a pathology, whether it's cancer, diabetes, or headaches or sciatica, and we can view it as what we are doing is treating a condition, or what we are doing is powerful input to the physiology so the body can best adapt that physiology. So maybe that symptom doesn't need to express itself.
Mm.
Rather than identifying the symptom as or the diagnosis of wrongness or badness, it is the body striving to be as healthy and as vital as it can be, but yet do the traumas and things that body's held on to, the highest level of expression that person can have, it exhibits that pathology. Our goal isn't to treat the pathology, but to elevate the well-being, the vibration, the adaptability of the human body.
Mhm.
So that possibly that pathology doesn't need to express itself that way. So it's
Yeah,
a very different way to look at things, and it's a growth process. And
Sure.
many chiropractors even hold that ideology so clear in their minds. And then, not that all patients get that, but if we can't hold that perspective, that idea, then we will never shift the paradigm of healthcare.
if you had to choose, great answer, by the way. Thank you for that. But if you had to choose, um, you have to choose one, just because it's my show. But if you had to choose, what does the profession itself need more of right now? Is it better communication, better certainty, better leadership, or better results? You had to choose. What is the most important of those?
Well, before I can answer that, I need definition. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
when you say results, what are results?
Results of the outcomes of the different modals being used, what we're seeing in patients, those kind of results, not necessarily results within the.
Again, you haven't defined the result. You define the things that we're doing. Okay, what tells us a result? Is it less pressure on the spinal cord and the nervous system, or is it
Data.
or is the symptom going away?
Yeah. So forget the symptoms because that could always be up here. So it can because our mind is so powerful.
Well,
But
yeah.
but it more data, right? Because we can analyze, or not we, because I would have no idea what I'm looking at. But you as a chiropractor can look at an X-ray, for example, or your thumb and your whatever finger. You can feel, oh, now I know this is here when before it was here. Like that kind of data, actual
So you're looking
physical.
at physiological indicators that the spine is subluxating.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You're asking me, is
Which of
be, have better results at being able to clear a person's nervous system
yes,
not more important
the
than
physiology of it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay. And now I understand the word results. When you talk about leadership, do you mean leadership of the chiropractor, or leadership in our political organizations, or leadership in our federal government?
So later, don't make don't make me go down that route
Before I
because
can answer your question,
I
you need to
I
define
don't think we have that kind of time. But yeah, so more from a practice perspective. Let's focus on the leadership of the chiropractor within their own practice.
okay. And then there was a third. The third one
There's
was
four things. So is it better communication? So communicate. I'll define all of them for you. Better.
communication.
Right. So let me define everything for you so you can give me a better answer. How about that? So there's four things that I'm looking for. One, you have to choose. One, it would either be better communication, better certainty, better leadership, or better results. Results we defined.
Right.
Leadership we defined. Better communication, that could be so that particular chiropractor needs to communicate well, not just with their patients, but with their staff, with their just their entire practice, with even within themselves. Sometimes we lie to ourselves. So just better communication in general of that person. See, for me, that and better leadership tie together. But when I say better certainty is really being confident in what they're doing, right? I know this to be true, and I'm going to use that to do XYZ, like being certain that certainty. So it's either communication, certainty, leadership, or results. I know choosing one is ridiculous, but I'm going to challenge you.
Oh, well, again, we're defining terms um, in communication. Define what communication is.
So communication could be a few things.
Yeah.
It could be the way I'm reacting even physically to something because you could read my body language. It could be the way it could be bedside manner, right? Because I've been to chiropractors that should not be chiropractors. Doctors the same, right? The words we use, the language we use, the way we say a certain word, that kind of communication, everything, body language, focusing on the right thing when we're communicating, not throwing negativity out, throwing positivity out, that kind of thing.
So the choices are certainty, leadership, communication, or results.
Results. Yeah.
Okay. Of those four of them, based upon what you're telling me, the correct answer is ding, 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 communication.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, when you're looking at results, the indicators of subluxation is a window for us seeing that there's a lack of functional integrity in communication in the nervous
Oh.
system. Okay. Leadership ultimately is a process of communication,
Mhm.
effectively communicating to people in, depending on how you choose to lead. I like to lead in a point of, in a shared governance model where it's more my job to awaken perspective within people so that they can see a goal and objective that we align to. That's effective communication to be a good leader. And
Mhm.
certainty is ultimately communication to yourself. So it's the manner in which that you see and process data within your own mind as it comes in there. So really, the answer is communication because
Yep.
that's the core value. Um, ultimately, and people may believe that otherwise. The core value in communication is ultimate transparency.
Hmm.
Transparency in terms of uh,
That's good.
is coming into recognition of what I see, hear, feel to effectively uh, find a mechanism to allow another person or a group to best get a picture in their mind, a feeling in their body, and understanding cognitively of that which I have. Yeah.
Mm.
Ultimately, that's what I strive for within a nervous system in terms of giving an adjustment, is allow there to be full transparency of every part of the body, becoming fully aware and connected to every other part of the physiology, particularly as that physiology adapts or relates to the world.
Mm. And that, for me, that question feeds directly into education because schools don't just teach technique, they shape perspective, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, and Life's West's messaging has been strong lately: purpose, service, community, right? How intentional has that culture building actually been behind the scenes?
All the time, every day, every meeting, everything is ultimately grounded in that space. Um, our ideology and philosophy basically says you do the right thing just because it's the right thing to do. You
Mm.
know, you adjust the spine because it just makes sense to do that. You come into a place of service of other human beings just because it's the right thing to do. Sid Williams' whole idea of lasting purpose: to give, to do, to love, to serve, just to do it because it's the right thing to do. Yeah, and you're doing it without anything, expecting anything directly in return, knowing that that is how the universe is built.
Mm.
A flower expresses the scent of that flower or the beauty of that flower just because that's what a flower does. A
Hmm.
bird sings just because that's what a bird does. A tree blossoms just because that's what a tree does. Life does what life does. The body expresses. Human beings love. We emote. We are sentient beings. We feel. We connect. I think Sid was rather brilliant to just come into that space of life is going to do what life does. Just allow it to do it, and you do yourself. You ground yourself in this place of, we're human beings. We're here to love one another. We're here to serve each other. We're here to be with each other, be present, do our very, very best, show up every day. That ethos lives. Is what spawned the college, and I believe lives here. Gets confused lots of times. I got the best ideology. Hell, I just failed my cell physiology test. That that is your reality at that moment in time. Something less than optimal happens. You get stressed and lose sleep over it. And you're worried about classes, and you're not being able to get your loans, whatever it is. It's going to take me another quarter to get through school. We can perseverate over those things. At the same time, the culture that we try to maintain is in that space. When I just had this conversation yesterday with one of my VPs. We were looking at where students drop out of the program.
Mm.
Where are the key places where uh, retention is lost, and we're identifying that, and it's not as much to say the student has done something wrong. We've done something wrong. What is it that we're not doing? What support are we not giving? What are we not becoming aware of that a person can't make it through our program? And it seems to happen here at the end of third quarter or fifth
Mm.
quarter, eighth quarter, wherever it is. And I'm not saying everybody needs to make it through the program, but I believe it's our job to identify early on a person who can't handle the program.
Mm.
The last thing in the world I want is somebody to go into 2-3 years of chiropractic school, not be able to graduate, and then have you know thousands of dollars in debt and no degree or diploma to be able to handle that.
Of
I think
course.
our responsibility as an institution to build success and to do what we need to do to ensure somebody can make it through the program and gets the appropriate support in the program. So, and then many layers of complexity to that, because a person drops out drops out of care, drops out of college for a litany of reasons. It could be personal stuff within their lives that's happening that they can't
Hmm.
put attention to the work that they need to do here. Well,
Hmm.
what can we put into place to identify that? Okay, and how can we that structure things in such a way that lets somebody get through speed bumps in their lives and be able to complete our program? And that's those are the decisions that I get to be part of. What can
Yeah.
we do for student success, and not just success to pass a test, but success so that they graduate a competent, capable, compassionate chiropractor.
Dr. Peter, I can't say enough again how much I appreciate you and appreciate your time. Part one was about leadership. It was about clarity. It was about what chiropractic needs right now and what it doesn't. So if you're a student or a practicing doc listening to this, here's the real takeaway. Before you worry about trends, before you worry about marketing, before you worry about outcomes, ask yourself, am I clear? Clear in my why, clear in my communication, clear in what chiropractic actually is. Well, folks, that's part one. And in part two, we take this conversation somewhere a little deeper into the adjusting room and into the heart of what makes this profession unique. Make sure you don't miss it. I'll see you in part two.